Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. The death toll in the Los Angeles area has risen to 16 as wildfires continue to spread. Efforts to contain the fires are being hindered by intense winds, with losses estimated to exceed $100 billion. 11 deaths have been confirmed in the Eaton fire near Altadena, while another 5 fatalities have been reported in the Palisades fire. Search teams, aided by specialized dogs, are combing through the rubbles. Over 150,000 residents have been ordered to evacuate their homes. Authorities have arrested 22 individuals in connection with looting and curfew violations as the investigation unfolds. Despite the firefighters' relentless efforts, the fire remained out of control. Strong winds have swept through the burning neighborhoods, subsiding only briefly before intensifying again. Approximately 12,000 buildings, including the Getty Center Museum, have been destroyed. Total damages are estimated at around $100 billion. Fires across Los Angeles have devastated entire neighborhoods and forced tens of thousands to flee. The National Guard has deployed to the area, assisting with community protection, security enforcement, and traffic management as evacuations continue.
We have 1,680 soldiers and airmen currently employed in this emergency. Over 1,000 are currently manning traffic control points 24/7 every day in support of allied agencies across the LA Basin, CHP, LA City, LA County. And we are making good on their requests, not in hours, not in days, but in minutes. We are pre-positioned the right place, the right time to deliver right effects in support of our law enforcement partners, and we continue to do that. We continue to ensure that our posture works very, very well. In case we have to grow, we are in very, very good position to make sure that happens. The balance of our force primarily dedicated to the next two things. Number one, Type 2 hand crews supporting CAL FIRE. Over 500 soldiers and airmen are currently employed in that endeavor or being deployed into that endeavor.
Polling stations are now open across Croatia as voters cast their ballots in the second round of presidential elections. Incumbent Zoranmilanovic, who narrowly missed securing a majority with 49% of the vote in the first round, faces Dragan Primorac, who finished second with 19%. Social Democrat Zoranmilanovic has been a vocal critic of Western military support for Ukraine and has often clashed with ruling party over foreign and public policy during his 5-year term. Dragan Primorac, who began his political career in the early 2000s as Science and Education Minister of a Croatian Democratic Union-led government, has accused Milanovic of being pro-Russian, an allegation Milanovic denies. Milanovic remains one of Croatia's most popular politicians and is widely expected to win the election. According to Croatia's electoral system, a candidate must secure at least 50% of the vote to avoid a runoff. Around 2,000 demonstrators gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday to protest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government and its handling of the Gaza conflict. The protests turned violent when demonstrators set a fire to the begin gate. What? At the beginning. Protesters demand the return of hostages and an end to the war in Gaza. Negotiations are ongoing to secure a deal that would halt the fighting and free the remaining Israeli hostages before Trump assumes office on January 20th. The Palestinian Health Ministry reports that at least 46,537 people have been killed and 109,571 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza since October 7th. Two people were killed and 12 injured in overnight Russian airstrikes across Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Defense reports that 74 Shahed-type attack drones and dummy drones were used in the attack. One person was killed and 6 injured in the Zaporizhia region, and a civilian was killed in Pokrovsk during an attack. One of the drones hit a car in the village of Primorske, killing a woman and injuring 2 men. 47 drones were shot down over 11 regions, while 27 dummy drones were lost in the airspace, according to Air Defense statement. Ukraine has captured 2 North Korean troops fighting for Russia in the Kursk region, marking the first confirmed incident of such a capture. The two soldiers, both wounded, are receiving medical care in Kyiv. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the capture via his X-platform account, stating that it was not an easy task, as Russian and other military personnel usually executed or wounded to erase evidence of North Korea's involvement in a war against Ukraine. He added that, quote, "I have instructed the security service to grant journalists access to these prisoners. The world needs to know the truth about what is happening." Russia is escalating its cognitive warfare efforts in Poland, with further intensification and anticipated in the coming weeks. Now, this conclusion comes from the inaugural report by a government committee examining Russian and Belarusian influence in the country. The report outlines in detail how the Kremlin seeks to destabilize Poland and the European Union.
According to the extensive report found on the Polish government's website, Russia and Belarus now have their eyes set on Poland as the country prepares for the presidential election in May. The committee investigating Russian and Belarusian influence in Poland said on Friday that the threat of Russian disinformation is very real.
We must take into account that in the last days and even in the last hours before the election, dramatic fake news will appear on the internet. Their aim will be to influence the voting process.
The committee, led by the head of the Polish military counterintelligence, pointed to four main false narratives spread by Moscow and Minsk in the Polish media space. These are as follows: NATO and the EU are oppressive, hostile and colonize their members. Western civilization is collapsing, decadent and demoralized. In the war in Ukraine, Russia is winning and must win. While Ukraine is a bankrupt state and Ukrainians are not a nation, no one can beat Russia, a nuclear power. And promoting any conspiracy theories that undermine the public trust, like anti-vaccination narratives, 5G, etc. According to the committee, the Kremlin knows it won't be able to easily promote its propaganda in Poland. That is why it will rather focus on spreading partially manipulated messages, trying to undermine the West's credibility and sow information chaos where possible. TVP World is tackling Russian disinformation with its Break the Fake program, pointing out examples of false narratives spread by Russian trolls. You can watch it Monday to Friday at 7:15 p.m. Central European Time.
Amid rising concerns over potential disruptions to global undersea cables by Chinese vessels, a review of Chinese patent applications suggests deliberate intent to target such infrastructure.
Chinese ships have been suspected of damaging key undersea communication cables in the Baltic Sea off Norway and around Taiwan, raising concerns of potential sabotage. An investigation into Chinese patent applications revealed devices designed to cut undersea cables quickly and inexpensively. In an exclusive interview for TVP World, the Newsweek investigator shared her findings.
The existence of these patents and these cutting anchors, as they're called, doesn't indicate that China did these acts, but it does indicate the aim or the ability to carry out acts of that nature.
The patent applicants claimed that the devices were intended to destroy illegal cables near China. However, experts suggest that the designs offer dual-use applications for both civilian and military purposes. Tatlow further emphasized that the patents never received patent status, and the applications were either withdrawn or rejected.
We can't rule out that there was some interest that intervened and said, this is a really useful technology. Let's not go too public with it. As Chinese leader Xi Jinping says, science is universal, but scientists have a motherland. And in China, scientists are all expected to serve the Communist Party.
With mounting suspicions of Russian sabotage operations targeting undersea cables in the Baltic Sea through its shadow fleet, the increasingly close ties between Russia and China present a growing concern.
The China-Russia relationship adheres to the strategic guidance of the heads of state of the two countries and has become increasingly mature and stable.
The undersea cables are vital for communications and power transmission. In a recent address, Poland's top defense advisor Jacek Siewiera emphasized that NATO members must intensify their efforts to safeguard Baltic energy infrastructure, especially undersea infrastructure.
Central and Eastern Europe are often associated with harsh winters reminiscent of Siberian landscapes. However, this year in Poland, winter arrived later than expected, but with sudden intensity.
From the north to the south, across Poland, People were greeted by snowfall on Saturday morning, which delighted some.
I'm very pleased it's snowing. Winter is beautiful, and you should also carry this beauty within yourself.
Whilst sparking anxieties in others, particularly when it comes to driving safety.
I heard yesterday the snow caused an Armageddon. When I left my house this morning, I expected the situation to be a lot worse than it was, as the main roads were usable.
Poland is no stranger to harsh winters. In 2006, for example, record low temperatures of -30 degrees Celsius chilled the nation. But while this highly anticipated winter is being warmly welcomed by Poles, climate experts warn that white down may soon be a memory of the distant past.
Of course, the global warming is one of the issue. During the last few years, we do not have very strong winters. The mild weather during the winter still will stay.
And whilst climate change may affect winters to come, Poles everywhere are rejoicing at the sights of this year's delayed winter wonderland.
And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.